Good morning. NATO defense ministers meet today and tomorrow at a pivotal moment for our security. Over the last weeks, we have seen the most serious escalation of the war since the invasion in February. Russia is mobilizing tens of thousands of new troops. They are trying to illegally annex new Ukrainian lands, and we have seen the indiscriminate strikes against Ukrainian cities. And then, of course, we also have heard the veiled nuclear threats coming from Moscow. All of this makes this the most serious escalation since February. Today we will meet with the Ukrainian Defense Minister, Minister Resnikov, and the message from NATO allies will be that we are steadfast in our support to Ukraine, that we are prepared for a long haul, and that we will support them for as long as it takes. There will be a meeting with Minister Resnikov in the US-led contact group for Ukraine, and also a dinner with NATO ministers later on today, where we will address how to ramp up support for Ukraine, and the top priority will be more air defense for Ukraine. We'll also address our deterrence and defense, and also then address how to replenish our stocks, because allies have provided support to Ukraine by reducing NATO stocks of ammunition or weapons. This has been the right thing to do, but of course we need to address how to refill those stocks. And therefore I expect that the ministers will agree to review our guidelines for stocks and also to engage more with industry. NATO is a unique platform. We have the NATO defense planning process, we have the capability targets, we have the work on standardization, on interoperability. All of this are unique NATO tools that enable us to engage with industry and provide the industry with the long-term demand they need to invest more in production capacity, so we can produce more weapons, more ammunition, more of those capabilities we need, both to ensure our own deterrence and defense, but also to continue to provide support to Ukraine. Resilience will be also an issue that will be addressed. The resilience of critical infrastructure, the importance of that has been demonstrated by the sabotage against the pipelines in the Baltic seas. And then we will also have a meeting of the NATO defense ministers, or a session where we will address our missions and operations from Iraq to Kosovo. And there will be a meeting of NATO's nuclear planning group. This is a routine, long planned meeting where we will address how to continue to ensure that NATO's deterrent remain safe, secure and effective. And with that, I'm ready to take questions.
Secretary General, what will be NATO's response in case of a Russian nuclear strike anywhere?
NATO is a defensive alliance. NATO is there to prevent conflict, to prevent a war. And therefore, we have strengthened our deterrence to send a very clear message to Russia that we are there to protect and defend all allies. We have seen, of course, the speculations about the use of a low-yield nuclear weapon in Ukraine. And we have conveyed clearly to Russia that this will have severe consequences for Russia. Russia knows that the nuclear war cannot be won, must never be fought. And we are, of course, also closely monitoring the Russian nuclear posture. We haven't seen any changes in the nuclear posture of Russia, but we will remain vigilant. We will continue to monitor closely because the nuclear threats, the nuclear rhetoric and the veiled threats from Russia are dangerous and reckless.
Good morning, Secretary General. There are still a small number of countries that have not reached the 2% target from 8 years back and haven't presented a plan to reach the target. What's your message to them? And does this difference in spending on military material affect the solidarity within the alliance?
So I welcome that all NATO allies since 2014 have increased defense spending, and this is necessary in a more dangerous world to invest more in our security. And that's exactly what NATO allies do. Since 2014, NATO allies have added more than 350 billion extra dollars for defense across Europe and Canada. We welcome that. Then I welcome also that more and more allies meet the 2% guideline, and of course I will continue to work for and urge those allies who are not meeting the guidelines or don't have plans in place to meet them to do so.
What changed now so that member states are ready to provide air defense, and what does that mean for the follow-up of this member state?
I welcome that NATO allies are providing air defense systems. That is extremely important, and I welcome the recent announcement by Germany and also the delivery of German air defense systems to Ukraine. And I think we all have seen why this is important. The horrific, the indiscriminate attacks against Ukrainian cities, civilian killed, civilian critical infrastructure destroyed, and not least the attacks on the energy system, the energy infrastructure, is serious as we approach winter. So all of this demonstrates the urgent need for more air defense for Ukraine. Allies have provided air defense, but we need even more. We need different types of air defense, short range, long range air defense systems to take ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones, different systems for different tasks. And then, of course, Ukraine is a big country, many cities, so we need to scale up to be able to help Ukraine defend even more cities and more territory against horrific Russian attacks against their civilian populations.
According to NATO, what is the role of Lukashenko regime as an ally of Vladimir Putin in this war?
Well, I expect that the Lukashenko regime stop being complicit to this war. We have seen how Belarus has been used as a staging area for missile launches, air attacks against Ukraine, and President Lukashenko should stop supporting the Russian war efforts.
How do you see the situation in Western Balkans, bearing in mind war in Ukraine?
Western Balkans is important for NATO. We have a history there. We have been there for many years. We helped to end the two brutal wars in the 1990s. We have the KFOR mission in Kosovo, helping to secure stability, the free movement of all communities in Kosovo. We have the headquarters in Sarajevo, and we are also working closely with the European Union. The NATO troops in Kosovo helps to support the diplomatic efforts of the European Union in the Pristina-Belgrade dialogue, and we also work together with EU in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And of course, we have also members in the Western Balkans. The two newest members of the alliance are actually countries in the Western Balkans, North Macedonia and Montenegro. So North Macedonia, the Western Balkans is important for NATO, and therefore we continue to focus on that region.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.